Currently majoring in computer science. Just drop it right now. Just finished a 4-year degree
Wow.
at Harvard doing computer science, and I've been able to build apps quicker through sites like Replit or Cursor than I have in 4 years. Think about that. The fact that I'm able to go on these sites, type in 3 sentence prompts, and get full stack apps in seconds. Come on. Why I'm taking linear algebra and all these computer science classes for the past 4.5 years, just to like build projects by myself. But now there's technology to do it for me. So like, if you're doing computer science, just get out of there. There's no need to do it. Honestly, I'd probably more so switch to like prompt engineering as opposed to computer science. If that's like a major, like a new thing at your school, just do it. Don't even waste your time. Believe me. Like I said, if you need like some full stack apps, check out Replit. Really good site.
You know, he brings up a lot of good points. Replit in particular. I'm not sure if you guys have checked it out. If you're in this field of work or you're studying it, then of course you've heard of Replit and a lot of similar apps and sites like Replit. It's actually incredible. To be able to do the things that it does as quickly as it does it, it's kind of extraordinary. And I could see why he has that perspective, because it's like when you look back, I mean, 4 years at Harvard, right? 4 years at Harvard, and you're coming out of school and you're seeing apps that can do things, and you just look back like, why did I study that? You know? So it's like a lot of people are starting to think that the entire degree program for computer science in particular is cooked. Let's dive a little deeper.
It's official. Computer science is the worst major with the highest dropout rate. With AI taking over, is it even worth it anymore? Unfortunately, for a lot of you, because of you, it's not. Look, if your goal is to just become a basic software engineer, a computer science degree is not worth it. It's way too expensive, you do way too much math, and a bootcamp or a certification would be much better. So then where does a computer science degree actually become worth it? Why do I encourage it so much? For those who want to go into research, machine learning, artificial intelligence, theoretical bases, there is nothing that beats a computer science degree there. There is no bootcamp out there that has university grade level equipment. In fact, I took a class that was designed by the guy who invented Google Glasses. You think I'm getting that type of exposure anywhere else? It's also very worth it if you don't know what you want to do in tech. You want to go data, network, software, machine learning. Comp sci degrees gives you a general basis of everything. Bootcamp specializes in one thing. So you can make it worth it, especially if you network right and actually seek the right opportunities. And for more info about computers,
You know what? He brings up a very good point. You know, look, even something like YouTube, you can go on YouTube and learn a skill over time. Obviously, it's not going to take, you know, sometimes it could take you 4 years, but it's going to be significantly less, right? Now you might say, oh, it's not the same level of education as if you are on campus, and you have a valid argument. However, it depends. If it's not a specialized field or area, then you might as well go on a different route to learn the same skill. Now, again, I wouldn't recommend. Now, look, I actually had a conversation with somebody about 2024. Was that 2 years ago? And they were in their early 20s and they're thinking about going into computer science. And I'm not into telling everyone what to do. You know, if you ask for my advice, I'll share. And I said, I don't think that it's the right field to go into right now. And this was before everything started heating up. You know, ChatGPT was out, of course. But for instance, I was reading an article, and the guy, he was a programmer for about 12 to 15 years. He was a seasoned veteran in the field, right? And there was a piece of code, about 3 or 4 lines of code that he just couldn't get it working. And he was reluctant to jump into ChatGPT, but some of his colleagues said, "Listen, man, don't look at it like the enemy. Look at it like an assistant or something that can help us." And then he slowly changed his perspective and he gave it a shot. I don't know if it was which tier or the pay threshold. I'm not sure. But what he did mention in the article was something that he was stumped on for about 3 to 6 months. It sorted it out immediately. And he was stunned. He was taken aback. He just, he sat back, he was looking at the code, and then he was like articulating how, like in his mind, how or why ChatGPT or the code decided to interpret what he wanted done and implement it the way that it did. And then it kind of started making sense. So in that sense, even though AI has a lot of these degrees and jobs in jeopardy, it can be an assistant if you use it in the right way. It's just from a large scale, a very large scale, it's definitely going to be replacing a lot of positions.
If you aren't in some way interested, if it's not something that you kind of like to do, if you're really just being motivated by a paycheck and by a cushy job, I can't say that I would recommend. I just don't think I would, because this is really one of the hardest things that I've done. And I've been in a few different industries, actually. I also have like a whole undergrad like humanities degree, which I also really love, and it was different. It was difficult in different ways, but my brain has never been quite as much on fire as it has been with CS for sure. Yeah, so that's the investment. So you're working so hard, the learning curve is quite steep. Then you're looking at the job market, and this is the thing. I have so many gripes with it. I think that tech at one point certainly was a bit of a cushy area. I mean, we did have, the 2008 collapse. That was horrendous. My dad was actually a victim of that, funnily enough. My dad, my brother, and I are all software engineers, by the way. It's kind of funny.
Oh my goodness. The entire family could be. Look, I get it. This was the way. You can kind of even still say it is the way, but let's use past tense. This was the way, but it isn't 2001 anymore, right? Look at the apps that the gentleman mentioned earlier in the video and the websites and the resources. These things kind of replace the human aspect of programming from a smaller scale, not at a large scale, but it's anything like this reaction is particularly about computer science, but look at it from a different fields. For instance, writing, right? There was a writer's strike. There's graphic designers. You don't think that they're reconsidering their career path? If you're early in the game, your early 20s, even if you're in your 30s, 40s, if you're just looking to get into tech, think of cybersecurity, think of other resources. Like the conversation I alluded to earlier, not convinced, but I recommended that a friend of mine look into cybersecurity. Right? Cybersecurity is on the rise. There's always going to be a need. Doesn't matter what type of business you're in. You could be selling sofas and dining tables, or you could be selling tech products. You're going to need to protect your front end, your back end. You're going to need to protect your customer data, your internal metrics. This is something that I believe is a growing industry, and a lot of people are just still stuck in that mindset like it's 2001. A lot of people are graduating and they're just in an oversaturated market. And not only can they not find a job in computer science, but the jobs that are available are now being hounded after by 10x the amount of applicants due to all the layoffs that are happening, right? So let's see what we could do collectively if you are in computer science and you're looking to avoid being an individual that's struggling to get a job as soon as you graduate.
Here are the 3 biggest reasons why some CS majors graduate unemployable. Starting off with number 1, they optimize for grades instead of competency. In the interviews, companies are constantly looking for signals of competency that you can actually do well on the job and be a solid software engineer. So things like passing your exams and doing well on your homework is good, but you also need to spend time actually understanding how software works and how to build real systems. I think at this point, companies know very well that just because a candidate has a 4.0 GPA, it doesn't necessarily mean that they can actually do well on the job. Now moving on to number 2, and it's
That is such a good point. And that is across multiple fields, not just computer science. There are so many people that could memorize, regurgitate information, and ace an exam, but on the job site, let me know down in the comments below if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure you know somebody or you can agree. On the job site, that same individual that aces every test, they're not incompetent, but they just can't perform, right? I don't want to knock the entire school system, but it's like the person with the best memory that gets the best result on the test isn't always the best applicant or the best prospective employee for the company. Huge point that he made right there.
graduating without an internship. This one is pretty ironic because it's basically saying in order to get experience, you need experience beforehand. But the harsh reality is the easiest way to get a full-time offer is to have some sort of internship experience beforehand. This could be unpaid or paid, and obviously the more prestigious the company, the easier it is to land a full-time offer. The biggest priority for university students is to get an internship at all costs. Now, the third biggest reason why CS majors graduate unemployable is because they use AI too much. I personally use AI on the job every single day alongside every other software engineer these days, but it really depends on how you use AI. You can of course use AI to learn, but if you're asking AI to do everything for you, this could be really detrimental for your learning. You won't be able to read, debug, and explain your own code in interviews. You should at least build up your fundamentals and a good foundation to then start using AI as a tool, just like how it should be. I hope this
I agree. I agree. Unfortunately, the way that it is now, it's like people are, when I say people, companies, organizations, it's almost like, how can you get experience if you don't get some experience? And I guess that's why he recommends the internship route. But it's like, when you're a fresh new grad, you're competing with other fresh new grads, you're competing with people that have been in the industry for 5 years that are changing companies, and it's just really oversaturated. And with the emergence of AI, I personally don't recommend somebody jump into this field right now. Uh, Computer science is broad. Programming as a whole is a little bit broad. You know, obviously different languages. I'm not going to get too technical for this to conclude this reaction, but he did give some really good tips. Check out other industries. Let me know down in the comments below if you're currently struggling to get a job in computer science. I've read a lot of articles about this, and I know a few people that are experiencing this, but let me know down in the comments below. I'm very curious what your experience is. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.